Good morning, Wednesday morning. You're listening to Prepper Talk Radio.
Thanks for joining
I'm
us.
Mr. PrepperCon. We've got the prepared guy here in studio. As always,
Yes.
we're excited to be here.
It is the highlight of my week now. I know at one point, Scott, you said this is the highlight of my week, and I kind of disagreed with you because I felt some stress, when preparing.
A little trepidation
and talking,
of being on the radio all the time.
Exactly. I'm that kind of guy that just feels nervous. I feel nervous for other people. But hey, it's this practice every single week. Definitely getting used to it and liking it more and more. So appreciate your listeners and your comments and your calls and all that.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited. Last week was kind of an interesting week. I was out of studio. I was on location at the outdoor retailer. Shane was in house running the boards, running the mics, and it was a really interesting show.
Yeah, you hardly heard anything because it was so loud over there.
Yeah, the outdoor retailer is really interesting because you expect to see a ton of new products and things that are cutting edge, and you see a ton of new products and one or two or three, maybe four things that are cutting edge. They're like, oh, wow, that's a new advancement. And it's funny because one of our sponsors, Survival Medical, was one of those cutting edge companies. In the medical industry, it's kind of hard to be like, oh, yeah, we're new and different. Everything's the same.
Yeah.
It's the old bullets, beans, and Band-Aids. Everyone needs Band-Aids. Let's get Band-Aids. Packaging's a little different. It's waterproof. That's great. But they've sealed it and created its own atmosphere so that you can get 20-year life out of each of the products in there. So your Band-Aids aren't going to just go dry. Your ointments aren't going to dry up. Everything works, and gives you that peace of mind. So I was really impressed. And so they're working on some pretty big deals with some fun companies.
So a lot of good reaction.
Oh, yeah. And I think my highlight was I actually got to meet John French, who's one of the lead developers for Ruger. Brilliant gunsmith,
That's cool.
Product development guy. He was a lot of fun, and he's actually the guy that behind the Ruger 1022 Takedown, which is one of my favorite guns.
I have one.
It's just so smart, to have a collapsible gun.
Oh, yeah.
It fits in just about any backpack.
It's not done more often.
And it's brilliantly put together. So, shout out to those guys. Love Ruger. They did a great job. They were there.
Maybe we'll try and get him on the show here.
Yes.
Talk guns.
He's very interested. And we also talked to Cabela's. I got to meet the guys behind the Disc Go bed. Not Disco, 70s flashbacks.
Like I love Disco.
Yeah, no. They call it Disc Go as in I'm going somewhere.
I've seen it before.
Bed. It's stackable bunk beds. They just came out with a double XL.
They're like a cot, essentially.
Yeah, it's a cot.
A stackable cot.
Stackable cot system. Okay. And the double XL will hold 1,000 pounds per level.
Why would you need to hold that much? Just makes it more sturdy and less.
Hey, if I want to park a motorcycle up there, I can park a motorcycle up there. But it was brilliant. I was like, this is awesome. Plenty of room to sleep. You're not cramped. You're not uncomfortable.
Especially in the cabin tent.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun, but it started making me think, okay, most of the things we're out there looking at, most of the things that we go and buy or the classes we take, they hit just kind of a few segments of preparedness. And so today we wanted to kind of go a different route and talk about kind of your top 10 lesser thought of things to be prepared for.
Now,
or not prepared for, but prepared with.
Right. As a prepper, we think about, we think about your first aid. We think about your food storage, water filtration. We talk about that a lot. But what are some other, I guess, lesser known, more, but still very needed skills to work on? You could work on a weekend. That you can go take the weekend. Hey, I'm going to work on these skills that are really essential skills.
Absolutely.
But I was going to ask you, tell me about your shirt, Scott. What's this you're wearing here?
I'm wearing my Don't Tread on Me shirt.
Okay. And on the sleeve, you got undetected, unobstructed, underestimated.
Yep.
Okay.
On the back, it says Don't Tread on Me.
Okay.
So, undetected.
Right.
CCW.
Great. Okay.
Right.
Okay, CCW.
CCW.
Gray man.
Gray man.
Okay.
And obviously this isn't a gray man shirt. It's bright yellow and black.
Black meal.
I'm the bumblebee of prep today. I got the shirt. I every time I see a Don't Tread on Me flag or I see the American flag in a distressed state, it gets me right at the heart. I love this country. I love what it was founded for. I love that there's an American dream still out there. And that dream, a lot of people think the American dream is, oh, I can come to America and I can be rich, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
right,
No, it's liberty.
It's about
It's
freedom.
the liberty. It's the freedom. And there's a lot of countries that have freedom, but none were founded the way this one was founded.
Yep.
None were given this Bill of Rights. None were given this Constitution. And I believe those are divinely inspired documents. And that's the failure of our government at this point, because they're falling off and not following
But
those things.
Again, ultimately, the failure of the people.
Absolutely.
And that's not the topic we're talking about today, but I wanted to bring that up. I also have seen in the news a lot lately where whoever has a "Don't Tread on Me" flag or a shirt or a hat or whatever, oh, I'm offended. I feel you make me feel scared because you have a "Don't Tread on Me" shirt on or something like that. And so I've seen news articles about that. And so what did I do the next day or that same day? Went and ordered me another "Don't Tread on Me" shirt.
Yep.
So I can wear it more often.
Wear it more often. Hang your flag. Support the good things. Support the right things. Support the things you believe in. That's. I guess that's the end of that rant.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm grateful that I have the liberty to do that.
Yeah, and wanted to point something out to you real quick. Here at the studio, we have some bumper stickers you guys can come and grab. They are Free Our Patriots bumper stickers. One of our, loyal listeners, followers of PrepperCon, dropped some of these off at the station. I think his name's Jared, for dropping these off. And this obviously refers to the Finnegans and such. And
The Bundys.
And so come by and grab a sticker and slap it on your vehicle. So one will go on my vehicle as I leave the studio today.
Ditto. And if you get a chance, go follow them on Facebook. Lavoy Finnegan brand is on there. I've got that bumper sticker on my car. But it's really sad right now. The Bundy brothers and everyone that was involved in the Oregon standoff that's been detained are being detained in isolation and not being allowed to meet with their lawyers. So get on the phone, call in, and get in their face. Let them know these people deserve their rights. That's constitutionally required. Everyone is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. They're supposed to be able to have a lawyer. They're supposed to be able to meet with their lawyer. They're supposed to have rights, and they've been completely stripped away.
Denied of all those.
But that's a whole topic we can go on for hours and hours. But today I want you to start thinking about a little differently. I want you to think about what am I doing to be better prepared, all the way around. Complete preparedness. And there's a huge gap, and I think a lot of people forget to plan for. And so we want to talk about those, kind of our top 10, what we think people should be planning for. And then we'll start bringing in some calls here in a little bit. But
and as a prepper, you are kind of known, if you consider yourself a prepper, you're known as a well-rounded individual in that community as of preppers, and that you can handle yourself from self-defense to wilderness survival.
Yeah, and I think one of the first most often overlooked idea behind prepping, or skill, I should say, you don't hear anybody really talk about it, and that's self-governance.
Okay.
If there is a grid down situation, if there is an apocalyptic scenario, how are you going to organize your group, the people that you're with, to start rebuilding? Because everything has to come back to the word rebuilding. You don't want to just survive and keep surviving. You want to get to a point of thriving. And to do that, you need to have an understanding of self-governance, an understanding of the right and the wrong ways to organize a group and get everybody moving in the right direction. Some people like to do it in a body of elders. The oldest 4 or 5 or 6 people of the group, are the decision makers. Everyone talks and everyone has open dialogue, but then those people get to focus the result. So they look to the whys to come up with a final solution.
Yeah, and we could, of course, take a day on every single one of these topics we're going to be discussing today. But we're going to just touch on them lightly. If you have any comments, please feel free to call in and give us your 2 cents. But yeah, absolutely. We have strayed in this country away from taking care of ourselves to becoming, the nanny state. In that we want to be taken care of instead of taking care of ourselves. We would rather have safety than freedom, and that is the absolute opposite, in my opinion, for me and my family, as well as many preppers out there as well. So that's a great one to bring up, Scott.
Yeah, you can't have both. You can have one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we've been reminded that time and time and time again throughout history. You cannot have both. You can have one or the other. So security, leave that upon ourselves. Let us create our own security. Let us create our own future. Retirement planning, I think it's bunk. I'm not going to retire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you should, because everyone I've ever watched in the history of my family and the people that I know, once you retire, once you stop working, you start dying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I found that those who keep working at something, be it a hobby or a new life's ambition, those are the ones that continue living, and they enjoy the rest of their life, and they live their life to the fullest. And those who don't, those are the ones that just fade away.
Again, it's another dream that we've been fed through this form of economy, if you want to call it that we need to save up, and of course we do need to save up. But in order so you can retire and travel and do the things you always wanted to do and work, so waste your entire life, your prime years of your life, and I'm taking us off topic, prime years of our life working so that we can use our less, whatever we want to call it, less important years of our life, being unable to do the things we wanted to do before.
Exactly. So going back to that, you know, spending our life doing something we don't want to do so that we can do the things that we want to do. This is why this topic is so important today. Talking about, you know, kind of the top 10 most not thought of skills for preparedness. I want you guys, as you're listening, I want you guys to jump in. Call in 801-254-5855. What are the skills that you think that you're working on that nobody else around you has a clue that they should be working on? Or whenever you tell someone, hey, you need to make sure you're doing this, they look at you like, what?
Yeah, I think most people don't realize that it takes practice, that it truly is a skill for a lot of these items we're talking about today, rather than, you know, it becomes common sense, and then you may at that point think, okay, it's not a skill because it's common sense.
Absolutely.
Like my number one item on the list is, and we talk about water purification a lot. We talk about water filters, water filtration, but how do you actually find water? I mean, we live in the second driest state in the nation. Utah is, I mean, we are extremely dry. Yes, we're blessed with tap water. We have some really great rivers, but in a lot of locations, it's not as easy to find water. So how do you find water? And that could come down to, so the grid's out, we don't have running water. You're in an urban or suburban area or wilderness area. Where do you go to find water?
You know, that's one of the tough ones I'm working on right now, is how to divine water.
Okay.
That is hard.
Yeah.
It is really hard. My friend, you know John at Survival Medical, he actually used to do that part of his job years ago. So he still does it. Mm-hmm. And I watched him actually find a spring. It was incredible. Awesome. I guess we're running out of time for that. We're going into a break. Remember, stay tuned. You can find us here at K-Talk every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. All things preparedness. You're listening to Prepper Talk Radio. We'll be right back after a break and a message from our sponsors. Welcome back to PrepperCon. Wow, PrepperCon Radio. It's a habit that's going to really go down in flames. Prepper Talk Radio.
I've already broken the habit. I'm done.
I'm not. It's near and dear to my heart. I love it. We're excited. We're talking about the things that are most forgotten, the skills that are most forgotten or the most overlooked. And we actually have a caller, Wendy, on line 3. Let's bring her on. Wendy, are you there?
Oh, yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks. For a long time, I felt that retirement should be an archaic, obsolete word, that it's not relevant. You know, anyone who thinks about retiring, especially people who think about it, oh, well, I'm going to be so rich, I'm planning on retiring when in my 30s or something. I mean, you are insane. You know, I mean, I've had the same 2 jobs for the last 27 years, and I do not plan on quitting. I tell my kids I might think about retiring when I'm 95, just think about it, but not before.
Absolutely.
And sometimes there's a big workload and they don't have enough people, and there have been several weeks in the last few months that I've actually worked 60 hours a week or even a little bit more. And I'm 74 years old.
Oh, no way.
Good on
You
you.
certainly don't sound 74.
And it's a constant challenge because I'm a field interviewer,
Mhm.
and they keep updating the computer and training and all this stuff. But they have a hard time finding young people to do this job because they're so used to texting and interfacing with electronic things that they're not very good at face-to-face contact with perfect strangers. They don't know how to start a conversation. But my stepfather gave me pretty good training when I was living in London. He was a stockbroker, and he went to these big cocktail parties and actually had big cocktail parties. And I'd go with him sometimes, and he'd say, well, get out there and start talking to people,
Yeah, and you
like
actually brought up
18
a great topic that is actually on my list, my top 5 list, is, like you're saying, going out and being in front of people and talking with people. That's one of my skills that I think is, like you say, being lost, is actually being able to interact with others. And I don't have a title word for it. I don't know what to call it in particular.
I'll call it interpersonal communication.
Okay, there you go.
Non-device
You're the
related.
college educated.
You're college educated. We're all educated.
So-
I think Wendy, you hit it right on the nail right on the head, because that's one of the skills that society as a whole right now is failing to have. No one remembers how to communicate. No one remembers how to communicate. Number one, with honesty, integrity, levels of respect. All we hear about is bullying, internet trolling, because people have lost that ability to communicate, and they've got that technology barrier that they feel, oh, I'm protected behind this screen. Nobody knows who I really am, so I can say whatever I want. Well, you should be
Hey,
able
they
to
can
say,
find out.
yeah, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that's actually a really good point. I mean, getting out and forcing yourself to have those conversations with people you have no idea who they are, those are great skills to have. And and to overcome that fear, I think, is the biggest part.
And being able to,
And I learned a long time ago that people are much more alike than they are different, usually. And that was because I lived in France between the ages of 17 and 18. I was in part of the French university system there, L'École des Langues Orientales Vivantes. I was the only English person in my school, and we were all beginning Russian and history and geography and economics and French,
Wow.
And I made some good friends there. But I interact with people, Hispanic people, people from Vietnam, Go Shoot Indians and down in Ibapar and on Skull Valley. I mean, and when you feel comfortable with all kinds of people, and the last school I went to before I went to university in England, the headmaster bragged that he'd had boys from all over the world because it was primarily a boys' school. There were only 20 girls. He said, I've never had a Tibetan or an Eskimo, but at one time or another, I've had boys from every single country,
Wow.
and so...
And just like Scott was saying, is, after this next collapse, we're going to have to rebuild. So those skills are going to be very important. There's interpersonal skills. And some words I wanted to use and throw out there is the word de-escalation. Seems like, and I don't want to belittle the place, it seems like that is not a skill that they learn very, very much, is de-escalation.
Yeah, it's really important to be real with people. I've noticed if you're real with them and you kind of reveal who you are, you get in some really interesting conversations, because it's boring just to go knock on someone's door, say, I'm here to do an interview, do the interview verbatim, and that's it, for some reason, I always start talking about all kinds of different things, whether it's gardening, religion, politics. And I've noticed they always say, oh, you shouldn't talk about religion or politics. But that's where you get the most interesting
Oh, yeah.
conversation.
Absolutely.
You brought up a lot of good points. Appreciate your call. Thank you so much, Wendy.
Thanks.
That it brings me to another thought, that in the sales industry, which is where I've pretty much my career's been, what I've always tried to teach people is that canned questions deserve canned responses. When you start thinking outside of the box and start engaging in actual dialogue, that's where all the learning happens. You go to school, and it's the bold phrases in the book get the attention, but it's the behind the scenes that went into the history lesson that you can only find if you start researching other topics and researching other books. Those are the things that you want to dig for, and that's the same as having a good, intelligent conversation, asking questions, asking how it relates.
Learning how to compromise, learning how to negotiate, and learning how to just get along with other people.
Yeah, and conversing does not have a winner or a loser. It's just conversing.
And as long as you understand that point going into a conversation, that you're not trying to force your will or your thoughts onto someone else, that you're just trying to learn, and hopefully they're trying to do the same, then you can have a very intelligent conversation and get things accomplished.
And it's not a debate, it's a conversation.
Exactly.
And a lot of people forget that, and they think, well, no, I'm expressing an opinion, and I need everyone to believe that that's the only opinion that matters. But back on your point of de-escalation, I think that's a very good trait or skill set that a lot of people, we just don't even try to understand or try to even impart into daily life. But helping de-escalate a situation, helping de-escalate the emotion behind irrational behavior is vastly important.
Rather than escalating it and taking it to a higher, more dangerous level.
Absolutely.
And we could definitely talk about self-defense, personal defense. It all wraps into this same topic, but we'll save that again for another day. But anyway, I thought that was, and I think that also kind of goes along with a little bit on the gray man theory, staying unnoticed and staying kind of low key, but also knowing how to just interact with others. I think that's a big.
I think gray man in and of itself is a de-escalation, right? You're trying to not bring any attention to yourself. Part of the skill set that I think is talked about but never practiced is trading and bartering.
Okay.
If you go anywhere else in the world and you go to an open air market, man, you get to have a lot of fun because you're trading and bartering. You come to the United States, everything is a lockdown price.
Yep.
The only time you get to really negotiate or barter or trade is either at vehicles. If you're doing a car purchase, a used car, easier than a new car. But when you're going to yard sales, garage sales, you go on vacation outside of the United States.
Unfortunately, higher end items.
Or in the business transaction. The business to business, you can negotiate all day long. But as soon as it goes business to customer, it's like, wait, it's $695 no matter who I am. Or how good I can talk to you.
We're having a sale this week for 10% off, a fake sale.
But if it's not a sale time, you can't negotiate a discount. Well, that's not true. I've done it. I've seen people do it. You can negotiate a deal just about any time. So don't just give up or pass on that idea. And if you haven't tried this in a while, the easiest place to start is yard sales. Yard sales go on like crazy all summer long. Spend a Saturday, just 3 or 4 hours on a Saturday. Go to a few yard sales because you're going to find cool tools and things that you can use for preparedness. Then start bartering.
Yeah, we all know we need to save money on our preps.
Absolutely. So I think that's one of the ones that's often most overlooked, but it's simple. It's easy to start engaging in. You find a product, you're interested in it, say it's $1, and you just walk up to the person and offer 25 cents. Is that lowballing? No, not really. You're at a garage sale.
How easy is it just to hand over that buck and say, yeah, it's only $1? I mean, my kids do that all the time. Dad, it was only $1. It was only $5.
And even if you buy it for 90 cents, you've saved 10 cents and you've learned something. You've gotten better at a skill. So if you're looking at things, you don't have a full list of all the things you need, go through and update that list, but then take that list with you this weekend, go hit a few garage sales, see what you can find, see what you can barter for, and give us some feedback next week.
Yeah, let us know. That'd be cool. That'd be very cool. Well, the next item I have on my list is wound care.
Oh, yeah.
Wound care.
Way overlooked.
It is. Now, you look at the word first aid, and we're going to talk about that with John in the next couple of weeks. We're going to get really detailed into the first aid aspect. But I wanted to talk about wound care in particular, and mainly because it is, you get a scratch, you get a small cut. I'm not calling that a wound. That's not what a wound really is. A wound is like a gunshot or a puncture or a large laceration or maybe a
bite,
broken
an animal bite.
Okay, yeah, exactly. There you go.
Cut yourself on a shard of glass climbing out of debris. We're always worried about the big earthquake that's going to happen here. Most earthquakes that happen at nighttime, the number one issue people have is cut feet.
Okay.
So now you've got wound care. Yeah. What are you going to do with all those cuts on the feet? Whether they're big, whether they're small, there's going to be a lot of cut feet.
Now, that kind of wound may not always be immediately life-threatening, where if you're in a rescue or emergency situation where you can get that person or yourself out of that emergency situation without addressing that wound directly, maybe a little direct pressure or whatever, but more as in the sanitation, the infection control of wounds. Excuse me. And that's really, I think, where the most priority needs to come in on wound care is infection control.
Absolutely. And you know what's interesting is we're bringing John in a couple weeks from survival-medical.com, but also our good friend Gavin over at shield-safety.com. They do classes, and they're local here. They do classes on those things. Awesome. They're actually one of the sponsors of the station here. Listen to their commercials. Use the promo code KTALK. You can get a discount on their website. But all these different resources that we bring to the table are for you, the listener, to get involved in.
I listened to Gavin at PrepperCon teach how to put on a Band-Aid. It was fascinating. It really was. The detail he went into and how to put this Band-Aid on properly on your fingertip or whatever. Like, wow, I never really thought of that.
Well, and he also does a really good class on burns.
Okay.
You know, how to take care of a burn, because a lot of the things you think, oh, this guy's got a second-degree burn. Let's throw this on there and call it good.
That is a true wound that needs
special care and attention.
Special care, and yeah, absolutely. And so I wanted to throw that out there, wound care. We're not really getting into details of how to take care of wounds and so forth, but if you look at what is the number one biggest concern that hospitals have to deal with every day, it's infection control. That's their biggest concern.
That's a great point.
Is infection control. So it should also be one of our biggest concerns as well. Do you have the supplies you need in order to disinfect a wound? Do you know how to do that? There's plenty of resources online, and not being a medical professional or a trained instructor and medical professional, go see these professionals like these guys at Shield Safety, or jump online and do some research and learn how to effectively treat and disinfect and care for wounds, because that is really, especially in a grid down situation where hospitals aren't available, antibiotics aren't available. You need to keep that wound clean and free from infection, so you don't need your antibiotics. So it's a really big topic that is definitely neglected, I would say.
Absolutely. You know, another one that I think is often overlooked. It's really simple: fire starting.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Without matches, without a lighter,
without fire steel.
You can use a fire steel.
Okay.
I just don't want you to do it without. I want you to do it without a light, your little Bic lighter, your Zippo lighter. I want you to try.
But that's the easiest way.
It is, but there are other solutions. And if you don't have that option handy, or it no longer works, what else are you going to do? And I think that's overlooked a lot. Just a few weeks ago, we were practicing fire starting techniques without a lighter, and I was struggling because it had been so long since I practiced that. I'm like, wow, I need to put that back on the list of things to practice every month.
My favorite way is without a lighter, without matches or anything.
What's that?
Magnifying glass.
You know, that works really well.
Fresnel lens or magnifying glass.
I've actually used a water bottle to start a fire. Surprisingly enough, it does work if you have dark paper. If you have bright white paper, it takes a long time.
Or you just have really, really dry tinder that is exceptional tinder.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's a lot of techniques. A lot of people kind of lean towards one thing or another.
As well you should. You do need to specialize in a particular method of fire starting, especially where you live. If you live in an area where you have the yucca, you've got the cottonwood, you've got the great woods you can use for doing a bow drill fire or a hand drill fire, then absolutely get to know those woods. But if you don't have those materials, then you probably ought to look maybe towards like flint and steel or something that you can find in your area, wherever you're going, wherever you live, wherever you find yourself the most often, backpacking or hiking, whatever.
And there are some local resources you can use. For example, there's the Boulder Outdoor Survival School, which is down towards Cedar City. But then we've also got Dan Whiting, who does local classes.
Live Life Survival.
Live Life Survival. Awesome guy. We've had him in studio. We should bring him back soon.
Yeah.
And talk fire starting and wilderness survival, foraging, all the things that he does brilliantly.
He can do a hand drill fire in literally just a few seconds.
That's incredible.
And others are struggling and never get there. But
I'm like
it
10, 15 minutes minimum.
No, and
minimum.
Blisters and.
I haven't had blisters yet, but it's minimum.
It can be painful.
10, 15 minutes. So yeah, he's brilliant. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he can teach you really well. So yeah, I think fire starting is often way overlooked. Everyone just is like, oh, I never have to worry about that. I got a fire starter. I've got this. I've got that. What if you're not by that? What if you don't have that?
Absolutely. And all of this takes, obviously, proper planning and preparation and practice. And I find, obviously, we want to make things as easy as possible. So keeping a lighter with you, keeping your fire starting materials with you at all times is important. Is your first priority, and then practicing these other skills. Where if you find yourself without that, if it runs out or breaks, and it comes down to critical situation, and you don't know how to do it, or you're not proficient at it, then you might be in trouble.
Yeah.
So.
And just
time.
practicing other methods is helpful.
Yep.
Because there's science behind that, and you can apply that science in different ways and learn new things. That's the whole goal today. Is we want you to learn something new. We want you to focus on something. Find one of the topics we're talking about today, and go practice that this weekend. That's the whole goal with today's show. Take one of these, go home and practice. I'm personally going to practice 2 things: fire starting, and I'm also going to start practicing. I'm reading right now on how to divine water, how to learn where to find it. I'm going to practice that this weekend. And then I'm also going to try to, if I get some time, I'm going to try to get out and do some of the yard sale bartering. What are you going to do,
Cool.
Shane?
Oh, I'm going to be painting.
That's not a survival trait. What are you going to do before the break hits?
I am going to. What am I going to do? I'm going to practice a solar still in my backyard.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. We're cutting into a break. You're listening to Prepper Talk Radio on K-Talk AM 630. Check out our new website, ktalkmedia.com.
Whether you're injured at the campsite.
I thought you were going to have that music changed there, Scott.
I did submit a request. It has not been processed.
Okay.
Yeah, that
You
stuff.
keep putting that on me, and now I'm putting it back on you.
It's still on you because you put us into
Originally
this
put it
endless
in there.
cycle of
Okay. We'll team
crap.
up on Kristen, and we'll get that.
We had a great call actually during the break. Good tip. So when working with a flint and steel or anything else where you need a fire bundle, the caller called in. He said you can use those facial cleaning pads or cotton balls, kind of spread them out so they get really fibrous. Throw some petroleum jelly in there. Vaseline works great. You can even use different types of oils, and that'll catch and hold that ember and start lighting. And that's what I use a lot is the cotton ball. I also use a lot of lint out of the dryer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that stuff. It's super dry. It's already really fibrous,
really quick.
and that stuff lights quick. You want to make sure you have your different bundles ready to go, because that will burn out fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Have
So-
your other materials already ready.
Yeah.
And that's one thing you can actually improvise on the go as well. Pull out your pocket knife, take your Levi's, scrape your Levi's, and get some lint off of them. And you're obviously ruining your Levi's, but hey, in a survival situation.
Yep.
And you can use that to catch a spark really easily.
Dig through your pockets. You often have
Yeah,
lint
there
in
you
there
go.
already.
Yeah.
Dig that out first.
There you go.
Put that in your bundle. Get a little more. But they're all great little techniques that'll help you get more efficient and make you survive. Well, not make you survive, but help you survive those challenges a little bit better. One of the next topics Shane brought up while we were talking before the show was kind of personal security, home security.
Mm-hmm.
Totally an afterthought for so many people.
Mm-hmm.
They think, oh, the door's closed, the deadbolt's in,
Yep.
we're good.
Yep. And excuse me. And of course, I wanted to talk about guns when it comes to home security, but really the most overlooked aspect of home security is your deadbolt, your locks, your doors, your windows. Most homes, when they're built, the home builder does not put in large 3-inch lag screws into your deadbolt door, the stop there, your plate, the latch plate.
Latch plate and hinges all have a 3/4 inch screw.
Have just a short little screw that go just into the frame itself, and not into the 2x4s of the house. So that's the first thing I would say to look at. Look at where your deadbolt locks into your door frame, and see if you've got nice long screws in there. If not, maybe get a different plate and make sure you got big 3-inch long lags into your 2x4 framing. And check your hinges and everything as well, because that's the number one way that criminals enter your house is through your front door, whether it's unlocked or easily kicking it down. So
Absolutely. We had a couple callers calling in, and I couldn't get to you quick enough, so feel free to call back. We'd love to have you. Again, the number is 801-254-5855. We love your interaction. We love your ideas and your thoughts, so please call in and share those with us. But yeah, home security, people forget oftentimes that even though you may have windows on the second floor, they're easily accessible. It doesn't take much.
especially if you have a tree or other way for them to access those,
And I find a lot of people leave a long ladder on the side of their house.
because it's too long to fit anywhere else, right?
Right. Oh, you don't want to put it in the garage. It's too big. Or I don't. If you're going to leave it out there, the great thing to do is lock it up. Lock it to the bottom of a tree. Nobody can move it that way.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Looks like we've got a caller. Thanks for calling back in. Go ahead. Oh, yeah. Oh, caller, you there?
Hey, caller, you're on the air. How you doing?
Yeah, I was just going to say, don't forget the old standard, and it's portable, you know. It's with you all the time. Belly button lint. You'll have to let it dry, but, you know.
That's hilarious.
Or like
That's
Shrek
awesome.
did, use the earwax.
It's out there. It is out there.
Yeah,
You know.
and MythBusters have proved that you can use earwax to start a fire
Yeah,
with a candle.
that'd burn
Oh,
for
no,
a catalyst.
I clean my ears every morning, so I do not have
Bad survival. You need to
Yeah,
not
it's
clean your
true. I
ears
should
every
probably
day.
not clean my
I've
ears
been
as much.
saving dryer lint, you know.
Yep,
That's my favorite.
I did that for a while. I've got a good stockpile for one. Just
And
in
since
case.
first and second wives left, I have less of it because I don't do laundry that often.
Uh-oh. Well, if you think that the grid's about to go down, you need more survival, just start doing laundry a little more often, or go knock on your neighbor's door and ask for their lint.
Yep.
You know, I did buy a whole bunch of lighters, though. I just keep a stockpile, and that's a good
That's
idea.
my number one way go-to is the lighter.
Get all your lighters. Well, hey, thank you so much for your call.
I'm going to run over to Cal Ranch, though, and grab some, what is it, magnesium? And that's good, isn't it? The magnesium and
Absolutely.
steel or something.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, cool.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for the
Thank
call.
you. Hey, you're on K-Talk. Thanks for calling in.
Oh,
We just lost you.
Sorry, we're not. Quick
Call right back. We just tried to connect with you and
couple of
we
calls.
couldn't get over quick enough. So, yeah, fire starting.
go.
Oh, there we go. Hey, thanks for calling K-Talk. You're on the air.
Oh, hi. I was going to comment about the divining rod.
Yes.
The Salt Lake City Library has about a dozen books on the subject, and you'll get about a dozen different ideas on it. But if you think about it, the whole Earth is covered with veins of water, and they're at all levels, up and down. And well, the divining rods are also mentioned in Section 8 of the Doctrine and Covenants, and it was Oliver Cowdery's gift that was greater than translation.
Wow.
And if you read that, it'll make more sense
I'll have to do that.
along that line. But
Thank you very much. Yeah.
All lines are full.
everybody could learn how to do that. It's not
So,
just one person.
so the library has a lot of books. Don't everybody rush down there this weekend to get them. Let's take turns. Actually, you
Yeah,
can
take
check it
turns.
out and put your name on hold.
Or just jump online.
But or jump online. But yeah, divining rods are great. I also love the pendulum system.
Yeah, and it's the same principle.
Yeah.
And you could find anything. You don't have to find just water. You could find a game, or you could find whatever you want to find with it.
That's amazing. Yeah, and it all works on the different pulses or energies of the earth and what's going on around there.
Exactly. You're connecting with the earth, and kind of like a muscle test
Yeah.
in a way.
Awesome.
It's the same principle, so.
Well, thank you so much for your call. We appreciate you.
Maybe I'll practice that this weekend in my backyard.
Hey, thanks for calling K-Talk. You're on the air.
Yeah, you guys are talking about starting fires.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were.
Oh, you were. I still.
No,
I
no,
don't
you-
want
We'll still take it. No. Give us your knowledge. We love your knowledge.
Okay, you want it now? Or am I on hold?
No, you're
You're live.
Okay. Hey, I do a lot. I live in the UNs during the summer
Mhm.
and in the fall, and I'm up there deer and elk hunting. But have you guys, I've done the still roll with the flashlight battery.
Mhm.
I've done the magnifying glass. I've done the bow drill. But have you ever tried to get a fire going in the UNs when it's raining and everything's soft and wet?
That's tough.
I got a cheater that I use.
Uh-huh.
That's easy to carry,
Okay.
and that doesn't cost much, but I carry 10-minute road flares with me in
Oh,
my
yeah.
backpack.
Not
That
much
is
weight,
awesome.
But yeah, it'll start anything on fire.
I keep a couple of those in my car at all times, not just for road flare purposes, but for that
For
same reason.
fires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's
Yeah,
just so
I-
wet you can't
I
really
know.
do anything.
Yeah.
There are ways to, of course, find dry material under trees leaning,
Well, yeah, underneath the
leaning
bark
trees,
and
dead
under
trees,
trees.
the back of bark. But yeah,
I mean, the road
it's still
flare actually
it's tough.
dries the stuff out when you put it in. Even
Mhm.
if it's wet, you can put soft and wet stuff in there. Just throw a little flare in there, and it'll take off in just a few minutes.
Awesome.
But also
Yeah, for
collecting
soft
that
wet.
tinder along your way while it's dry too, and keep
If
it
you can.
if you
Sometimes
yeah.
you're just dropped into a situation and
Yeah.
you don't have a choice. You just
And-
got to do the best with what you can.
Right.
If you're kind of heavy, you might have some belly mix.
Yep, you're the second caller to tell us that. Thank you so much.
You guys.
Never had that problem personally with belly lint. So
We got another caller on the air. Hey, thanks for calling into K-Talk. What have you got for us?
Yeah, this is the Eagle. I'd like to throw out a few comments. Designing rods. I have a modern-day plumber that works for me.
Okay.
Hey, if he needs to locate a water line, what do you think he uses?
I'm hoping he uses a divining rod. That's awesome.
It really works. I would like to say this to Ethel or the famed Larry. If you need more lint, go get another wife, Larry. She'll provide you some lint. Hey, thanks very much.
Hey, thank you for your call. Man, I love our listeners. They love to help each other, too. This is hilarious. So, okay, the lessons from today so far, we're running out of time. Lessons to today. Road flare, great for fire starting even in the wet. Belly lint, multiple uses, best for starting fire. If you run out, get married. What else did we learn today?
Oh, we're just barely scratching the surface.
We're scratching
on
the
our
surface
list here. I mean, it's there's one that you had, Scott, was on your number one on your list, I think, that is I guess kind of being lost is the handyman skill.
Yeah.
You know, the auto repair skill, the handyman skill. People just don't try, it seems, as much as they used to. It's just too easy to go down to the auto, just take it down to your local auto store and have your car fixed. But to try things yourself and mess up and screw up and then learn how to do it right, that's a lot of practice.
And I've got a neighbor who's a hobby mechanic, right? He's an engineer, but on the side he does all of his own car repairs, auto maintenance, and he's brilliant. And it's interesting to watch because he can work on these brand new cars and figure out the computer codes and put it all back together and take it apart and do it again. And I look at it and I go, truck goes vroom, and I want to go back so bad and learn those skills. And my challenge is I just don't have the tools or the time.
Yeah, that's true. You have to have the tools. So start stockpiling up on the tools as you have the opportunity. Garage sales, yard sales, perfect place to get tools.
But it also brings me to another point of skills to develop is interpersonal skills, going back to that. Building a community of like-minded preppers. He's very much a prepper. He loves self-reliance. His skill of auto mechanic is now my skill of auto mechanic. So these things that we're going over, you don't necessarily have to be the skill. You don't have to be the person with all the skills, but you need to know people with those skills.
And you can barter your skills.
All the lines are full. Let's start taking some of these calls. Hey, thanks for calling K-Talk. You're on the air.
Hey, this is Darren. How are you guys today?
Good, thanks, Darren. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah. Hey, another good bartering technique is at the farmers markets.
Oh yeah, that's another good one you can actually still barter at.
Yeah. We did a farmers market for our first time in Tooele, and man, it was good bartering, good talking, stuff like that. So. And
good food.
Get out to the Tooele farmers market this weekend.
Awesome. All right, you listeners, you heard it here. Go to the Tooele Farmers Market, and you can still barter for food.
Very cool. That must have been what the other two callers were calling about because they hung up. So
they hung up. Well, hey, thanks for your call.
You bet. Thanks. Bye.
We're having a lot of fun today. Tons of interaction. So we should do top 10 lists more often. We're at about number 8.
Yeah, our line 3 is ringing again. What I wanted to say about the handyman skill is sure, yeah, it takes some practice, but just try it. Just get into it. Just do it. And I think a lot of times you'll be surprised that don't say I don't know how to do this. Just try it. Just jump into it and do it. And if you mess it up, tough. You'll figure it out. Try it again. And that's the way. That's how you learn. So yeah, Scott, you want to bring a caller on here? Sorry, I'm just talking too much here.
No, you're good. We got Zane on the line. Zane, thanks for calling in. We lost him. We got another caller.
Oh, okay.
Hey, thanks for calling K-Talk.
Yes. Can you just pull out all the computer stuff and then make your car work by that, or do you have to reconnect stuff, or how important is the computer in your car to make it run?
Yeah, if your car has
it run without it.
Well, here's something I learned just yesterday when I got my truck back from the shop. I had to take it in. There's 2 computers in the accelerator system now. It used to be one cable, and the cable would run from your foot in the pedal,
Right.
and it'd run right
Now
to the
it's
engine.
drive-by-wire.
And it had a wire, and it had a little lever, and it'd pull on the lever. And the more it pulled on the lever, the more gas you'd get, and it accelerated at a higher rate and capacity. Now they got two computers, one on the pedal and one over there, and they have two separate lines of voltage, two different levels of voltage. And if you took that out, your car wouldn't move at all. So some of the computers are absolutely vital, especially in the newer cars. That's why personally I'm actually looking at going further back, and I want to get like 1970s Ford F-250 Highboy. That's my dream car.
Yeah, in most cases, if your car has a computer, it will not work without it.
Absolutely.
There may be a bypass here or there for something simple, like a sensor or something like that. But in most cases, yeah, and that's why when we talk about EMP-proof vehicles, they don't have computers or have very minimal electronics that can be replaced easily. My first truck was a 75 Datsun truck. Man, I could do anything to that thing. It was carbureted. When I stepped on the gas pedal, it had a wire that pulled the throttle, and I could fix that and adjust that as easy as possible. And
tune it however you wanted it to respond.
But now, you've got to take it to the shop in most cases.
And I think that's part of the...
Let me just ask, so the engine's still good, so what is the computer actually doing?
Telling the engine what to do, essentially.
Yeah, it's telling the engine how to respond based on what you're doing in the control box or in the driver's seat.
Yeah,
we're actually running out of time.
Thanks
for calling in. We appreciate all the callers today. It's been an awesome show. Again, you're listening to Prepper Talk Radio. We want to do all things preparedness all the time. Be back next week, Wednesday from 9 to 10 here on K-Talk, AM 630.
And thanks to our sponsor, survival-medical.com.
Okay, forest animals. Kids are coming.